is President Harry Kalaba, President of Citizens First. Mr. President, welcome to State of the Nation.
Thank you very much, Pastor, and good evening, Zambians, wherever you're watching us from. It's good to be here, Pastor. It's been a while since you had me on the State of the Nation.
It's been a while, and it's good to have you back on KBN TV.
Definitely grateful. Definitely grateful.
Let's get started looking back at 2025, and probably we could just say the past 4 years. What are some of the major milestones do you think you can credit to the current administration as you look, towards challenging them in the coming election?
The UPND has performed very badly in the last 4 years. One of the significant things that the UPND has recorded and will go down in the annals of our history has been that the UPND has managed to polarize the nation. We have become more divided than we were before the UPND came into government. The nation has experienced load shedding that has been unprecedented, that we've never experienced since Zambia was created, or if you want, since we got our independence. They have managed to bring down small and medium enterprises as a result of bad policies that only favor their friends, policies that only favor outsiders and not locals, and there they have scored. They have also managed the UPND to be one of they'll go down the history of this nation as one of the regimes that has really incarcerated political opponents like never before. Most of the colleagues that have been outspoken are in jail today. The fight against corruption has been used as a wage against colleagues, but when you scratch a bit, it's all politics. And so the country has lost in the time that the UPND has been in government. Of course, the UPND also has been, will go down the history of our country as one of the governments that made sure that they brought the darkest bill in this country, which has now been assented today by the President into law. That is Bill number 7. A bill that was primarily focusing on advantaging the UPND instead of the people. So clearly it has been about them in the last 4 years and not the people.
Talking about Bill 7, you are one of the main citizens that criticized, both the process and perhaps the content. But as you said today, it has been signed into law by President Hakainde Hichilema at the Mlungushi International Conference Center. Do you think that you, perhaps in the opposition and the rest of the civil society, the church, LAS, and everybody else, you underrated the preparedness of the UPND to push through with Bill 7, considering that there was massive opposition, but they sailed through with it?
First of all, it has got nothing to do with underrating the UPND, Pastor. Constitutions are made to favor the people. There should be no contestation amongst players when it comes to enacting laws for the people, because the process itself will acquit itself as it moves on. The people will have submitted. The people will have said what they want and what they don't want. Clearly, on this Bill number 7, which is now law, the President and his team had couched it in such a way that it had to favor them. But history has got a way of dealing with people like the UPND. They might celebrate today. They might think they have won. Like we have said in the Citizens First, they won the bill on the floor of the House. But I can tell you with certainty, they have lost the people. The people of Zambia now know that the UPND don't mean well for this country. The people of Zambia now know that the UPND has got no regard for the Catholic Church, and the church in particular. The Zambian people now know that the UPND are not people you can entrust with power to make sure that they bring national harmony. The people of Zambia now know that it is about themselves as UPND and not the people. And so, the UPND can say they have won because the opposition was not united, but I'll tell you with certainty that the UPND has actually lost. And they have lost big time. I talked to one of the UPND ministers who told me, Harry, what you have written on your Facebook page, that we won the bill and lost the people, is the feeling I'm getting from my own constituency. The people are telling us this bill is bad. But you, Harry, you did not take time to explain what was bad about the bill. I told him, before you even talk about the contents of the bill, you should have talked about the process, especially a process that was found wanting by the Concord. That is not a process you can even start celebrating. And it is sad that the Honorable Madam Speaker, first in the Zambian history to sit in that chair as presiding officer of that honorable house, found herself dancing to a bill which most Zambians said was acrimonious, which most Zambians found that it was not on the side of the people, but on the side of Mr. Ichilema. But as I said, Pastor, that is the very law which he has signed to Mr. Ichilema, that he will regret that he signed. Because when all is said and done, Bill number 7, or now the law which has now been accentuated into law, that law which he has passed is not a law which he himself will live to enjoy, because time has got a way of protecting itself, and it will protect itself in this regard.
Many people, perhaps to ride on your submission, many people have been, submitting that Bill 7 might be to the UPND what the cybersecurity law has been to the PF. One would have thought that the PF had a certain mindset when coming up with that law. They never thought it would target them as it has targeted. What do you think are some of the implications of Bill 7 as far as the past UPND administration, assuming they don't make it into 2026? What do you think are some of the things that they will regret around having passed Bill 7?
One of the things that they will regret is that they have brought in the mixed member proportional representation, which will always give the incumbent superior numbers, because out of the 40, the Electoral Commission of Zambia will divide the numbers according to percentage that political parties will have. So obviously, the new party that is going to beat, which is the Citizens First, when the CF beats the UPND with superior numbers, we are going to have a bigger chunk of the number of people that we are going to send into that parliament under mixed member proportional representation. So that will work to their disadvantage. The second thing is that they have allowed mayors and council chairpersons to now go without a cap of 2 terms. They have said you can go on in perpetuity for as long as you want. Mr. Ichilema is hoping that when he wins 2026, he's going to call the mayors. First of all, can even see what was happening at Mulungushi today. He called the mayors, he called the council chairpersons so that they can celebrate him for lifting that cap. But most of those council chairpersons know very well that it is difficult for them in their setup to go beyond the 2 terms, because the people now in our various jurisdictions don't allow a person to go beyond 2 terms. So Mr. Ichilema is pushing something that's not going to work for him. What he is in turn going to do is that he's pushing an agenda for us who are coming to decide whether we should continue even at presidential level to go without term limits, or we should remove the term limits. Because his thinking is, if you are a council chairperson, you have worked well. If you are a mayor, you have worked well. Why should you be given that opportunity to continue in perpetuity? If the Americans thought in the manner that he is thinking, then Barack Obama would have still been president.
Are you insinuating that he thinks that come next year, if he wins, he would convince Parliament to change the law regarding
that? Is
that your insinuation?
Not that I'm insinuating. That is Mr. Ichilema's thinking in that head of his. You see, what he's thinking in that head is that he will have more numbers in Parliament, and he will use the arrogance.
Do you have to say that, Mr. President?
No, I'm just saying that that's what he's thinking in his head. What is wrong with saying that's what he's thinking in his head? In his head, Mr. Ichilema, he is thinking that the numbers that he's going to have after the elections, those are the numbers that he will use to convince the House that they should remove the 2-term limits for a presidential candidate.
Using the chairperson and council as an example?
Using the chairperson and the council as an example. And they will even say members of parliament are not limited or restricted. They can stand as much as they want to stand. What is wrong with the president standing in forever and ever? Amen. That is the thinking of Mr. Chilema in his head.
He has never said that. You are really thinking for him, because
I am not thinking for him, but you can
heard him say that publicly.
Yes, you've never heard him. There are so many things Mr. Chilema has never said publicly, which only comes out into action. Several things he has never said publicly, but you see them from his action. Clearly on this bill, you can tell that the president in his head, in his thinking, I don't want me to use his head. The president in his thinking, he is thinking that he will use the example of the council chairpersons, he will use the example of the mayors to advantage himself. That's what he wants to use. But it's not going to work. It will never work, because Mr. Chilema is losing the elections.
Let's talk about this Bill 7 that has now become law. And the UPND said we could not go into next elections using the old constitution. So here we are. We now have Bill 7 that has been assented into law. I want you to, you are a former member of parliament. I want you to speak to electoral implications, because the ECZ has just completed mass voter registration.
Yeah.
You have a new law now which will trigger a new wave of delimitation. Do you think, given the time that we have between now and when Parliament dissolves in the next 5 months, is there going to be sufficient time for the Electoral Process Act to be changed, for ECZ to capture the new voters under the delimited constituencies? What do you see in this phase before the elections as regards delimitation?
First of all, I am yet to be educated, because delimitation does not mean that you have to get new voters. The voters that you are going to delimitate belong to a constituency.
Yes, but they have already registered.
Yes,
remember?
Yes.
That's what I was saying.
It's just areas that are going to be divided.
And that area would say you are voting under constituency
B instead of A.
Exactly. So they need to rearrange and name constituencies, so that when you're going to vote, they will be saying constituency A has got this number. For this to work well, and as a political party that is going to participate in this, are you having any second thoughts about this? Are you engaged with the ECZ to get what is the roadmap as far as delimitation, now that we have a new law in place that speaks to delimitation?
And I want to, Pastor, maybe I need to be educated on this matter, because my thinking is that this law which has been passed has got nothing to do with delimitation. Delimitation is already accommodated for, that every 10 years constituencies will be delimitated upon. So I don't think that us even saying
there will be new constituencies.
Yes, there will be new constituencies.
Yes.
As there have always been new constituencies before. Remember in 2011, in 2016, I think we had 125. When I came to Parliament, there were 125 constituencies. In 2021, they were increased. In 2016, they were increased to 256, because some constituencies had to come in place.
Yes.
Kaumbu and the others were not there, but they came. So this is a process which has been happening every 10 years. So like now, they are bringing it back. So all we need to do is to see from the Electoral Commission of Zambia, when we see the delimitation report, when it is made public, for us to look at which constituencies are being delimited and which ones are not.
Right. Let's move away. Obviously, we will hear from ECZ, but before we depart from Bill 7, are you, when you look at the contents that now have become law, are you surprised that some of the contentious pieces of legislation like Public Order Act never made any of the items that were supposed to be addressed in Bill 7, even more so that the UPND promised that they were going to do a holistic constitutional amendment that also reflects the Bill of Rights. Bill of Rights was not part of the Bill 7. From your reading, what do you think informed this kind of decision?
Because what informed this kind of decision in simple terms was that the UPND was not focused on what was going to benefit the people themselves. It was what was going to benefit the UPND. The Public Order Act, of course, was going to benefit the people because it was going to enhance interaction between the public and us on this side of the divide. But that is not their interest. Their interest was the council chairperson. Can you imagine? The council chairperson, the mayors, removing the limits for them to stand 2 terms, and that is it. They remove that. Just that should tell you a story. Of all the things, you just say the mayors and stop having these limits because it's preparing the public for something to come. And we are saying this country, it is 2 terms. And Mr. Ichilema is finishing his term in August.
That's one term 12th. For him.
No, but for him, the way he has behaved and he has carried himself, it's like the guy has been around for the last 3 terms. And the Zambians are just fed up of Mr. Ichilema. He's an insincere leader. He's a leader who cannot account for what he says. He's a person that his word is not bankable. And I think the people of Zambia now can see through him.
He challenged people today at Mulungush that you say this is a government based on lies. And what lies? He was challenging people, asking you to pinpoint where you think he has ever spoken.
Can you organize a debate for me and Mr. Ichilema? So I can tell him to his face? I'll tell him, Mr. President, I'm sorry, you lie.
He's watching. Maybe you can remind him
Mr. President,
lie.
you lie.
Which lie?
Mr. President, you lied when you came into government that when you take over the reins of power, you are going to do away with the cybersecurity law. You have not done that. You lied, sir. When you came into this government, you said when you come to government, you are going to ensure that the Public Order Act is decimated, done away with. The Public Order Act is still there. Sir, you lied when you said when you come into government, there will be no load shedding in this country. You even had the audacity to ask people at a press briefing, why are you addressing people? You said, is there anybody being load shedded here? We are still experiencing excruciating hours of load shedding. Basically, sir, you told the farmers that you were going to be giving them enough fertilizers. Farmers are sharing fertilizer. Today, Pastor, as we are speaking, and Mr. Chilema is watching us, today as we are speaking, farmers, more than 50% of the farmers have not been paid their money by the Food Reserve Agency. How will they then participate in the next farming season if that has not happened? These are the kind of habits, sir, I'll come and clean when I become president. Because Dr. Kaunda for 27 years, when he was running the affairs of this country, was very clear. Dr. Kaunda knew that a farmer was at the epicenter of economic emancipation. Without farming, without looking after those same peasant farmers who feed the nation, there is no way Zambia can be where it is. We are supposed to be a nation feeding other nations. We are surrounded by 8 countries as we sit here. We are a member of SADC, a member of COMESA, and even the Great Lakes region. We should have been feeding those regions, and we don't. We have failed to help our farmers. The president said he was a farmer. He was going to help us. He lied. He has not helped the farmers. He has sent the farmers into misery. The president has completely destroyed farming in this country. He has redefined it to levels we never imagined. So, yes, sir, if you were saying that we've been saying it's a government of lies, I would cherish, and I pray for a debate between Mr. Ichilema and myself, and I'll take him to the cleaners.
Well, the handlers maybe they will take care of that and see if they could arrange that, since you have challenged him on public on a public platform. Now, I need for you to speak to the increasing perception of disconnect between government officials and the citizens, where the government says we have performed well, we have done well, we have increased CDF, we have introduced meal allowances, we have given free education, and yet citizens and those of you in the opposition feel the government hasn't performed well. What do you think is feeding this perception of disconnect between two perspectives?
What is feeding this disconnect is the fact that when I came here in this studio, power went and you turned on your generator to begin running. Right now, as you and I are speaking, are on a generator. Therefore, Pastor understands that the cost of running business is no longer the way it was, as it is being portrayed by the UPND. It is expensive in this country to run business. That is one. Secondly, when you hear people tell you about CDF, we have brought CDF, what they have basically done is to kill service delivery. A member of parliament who is purportedly receiving 40 million kwacha of constituency development fund is also supposed to use that same money to do road rehabilitation. Is also supposed to use that same money to put up health posts. Supposed to put up that same money. I have always said that constituency development fund was a model mooted in West Africa, and the West Africans at that time thought that there should have been some money members of parliament could access while the central government is sorting out things, emergency funds. But because of not understanding governance in its entirety, Mr. Ichilema, he has gone ahead to use CDF as the biggest thing that he has done. CDF is being used as the biggest thing. I know of constituencies that have never received. In fact, most constituencies have never received even that 40 million that they talk about. So they should stop talking like that, hoodwinking people. They are not sincere when they are telling you that they have managed to give constituencies 40 million. They are not sincere. It's just on paper and it's not reaching its intended purpose. When we come into government as Citizens First in August, we are going to make sure that the CDF is realigned, because the intention of CDF is to devolve power from the central government and take it to the local government. It's devolution of power. We are going to do the devolution of power in a systematic manner, as opposed to this haphazard changa chipante pante kind of doing things. We want the CDF to be pronounced in the manner it should be pronounced. We want government departments and agencies to work properly as they should work. We want the Department of Social Welfare, the Department of Health, the Department of Education to work and provide services to our people in the manner that they should provide services, as opposed to making CDF to begin procuring ambulances. CDF is now procuring police vehicles. I mean, police vehicles were being bought by the police themselves. It was at the budget line. Now, these are issues I'm saying, you the handlers, bring Mr. Hakainde Hichilema here, and we tell you that it has been all talk that has been telling you and no action at all. You tell him that he has performed, and he feels that in the last years that Zambia has produced presidents, Mr. Hichilema has outperformed, I've heard, all other presidents that we have had. You cannot compare Mr. Hichilema to Dr. Kaunda, for starters. That one, let's not even talk about it. You can never compare Mr. Hichilema to Dr. Chiluba. Dr. Chiluba demystified transport blues in this country. At a time when people were sleeping at the intercity bus terminus and everywhere, Dr. Chiluba came within 3 months of Dr. Chiluba being president. He brought in a policy that liberalized the transport sector. And now buses, which people were waiting for, are now the ones that began waiting for people. So the two cannot be compared. Obviously, you cannot compare Levi Mwanawasa to Mr. Hichilema. You can't compare the two. Levi was focused. Levi was truthful. Levi's word was bankable. Mr. Hichilema's word is not bankable. He will tell you this is blue. Tomorrow you say, no, I didn't say it is blue. I said it was green. So that is Mr. Hichilema for you. You cannot compare Mr. Hichilema to Rupia Banda, a diplomat of all seasons. Rupia Banda cannot be compared even in the 3 years that Mr. Rupia Banda was president of this country, Mr. Rupia Banda performed far beyond this Mr. Ichilema. Because when you talk about the Link Zambia 8,000, that was a project that was initially kickstarted by Rupia Banda, as well as the Pave Zambia 2000. Mr. Sata actualized it because that was in his game plan. You cannot compare, or not even waste time, talking about Mr. Sata and Mr. Ichilema. There we won't even go there. I heard the other day that you can compare Mr. Edgar Lungu and Mr. Ichilema. You cannot compare the two. First of all, Mr. Lungu, even though his government made fundamental mistakes, a government I resigned from, and I don't even regret having resigned from his government, the kind of corruption which was happening in Mr. Lungu's government and the kind of corruption happening in Mr. Ichilema's government, Mr. Ichilema's government is more corrupt, extremely corrupt. The reason we are having load shedding in this country is because of the corruption that is happening in Mr. Ichilema's government.
Are you sure about that? Isn't it anything to do with hydro capacity,
No.
to generate?
No, please. Look, Zimbabwe gets power from Kariba just like we get power from Zimbabwe.
From Kariba.
From Kariba. The Zimbabweans don't experience 21 hours of load shedding. We are experiencing 21 hours of load shedding. Now they have improved. We are experiencing 18 hours of load shedding, and they are patting themselves on the back that we have done well. Clearly, Zambia has gone down. As I said earlier, this Mr. Ichilema, of all the presidents we have had, and put it on record, KBN, of all the presidents we have had in this country, he is the worst of them all. He is one that has showed that he doesn't respect the church. He's called bishops in this country have been called names, priests have been called names, pastors have been called names, and he is the only one who is clean and almighty. But Mr. Ichilema will meet the demerit of his behavior.
I don't think it's him who has called the bishops' names. I've never heard. You can say his cadres, his supporters, but to think that the president himself has called any priest any name, I would like to challenge you to validate that claim.
Mr. Ichilema, when he was doing the same business as usual of CDF, do you know a priest called Father Salangeta? Father Salangeta is a Catholic priest. I don't speak things that I can't be validated. Father Salangeta, a Catholic priest, had mass in Chawama, and he had said people are suffering, and they want to lutoshi. That statement infuriated the Republican president. The following day at Heroes Stadium, the president said, "Uyende ku school, uyende upunzile ku school." Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember.
Pastor, President Hakainde Hichilema said that. He told the priest to say, "Go back to school. You go and learn. You know how these things work, how CDF operates and things like that." He said that, and I am on record on this same TV station of yours. I came and repudiated that. I came and said, Catholic priest, because I almost became one myself. Catholic priests study a lot. Catholic priests, Pastor Mambwe, some priests even take 15 years, like the Jesuits. The White Fathers, an order I was supposed to be with, takes about 12 years. The diocesan priests, the priests that we have in Zambia, the local priests around here, they take about 10 years to become priests. They will have 2 degrees before they finish. Those are not people you can say, go to school when they opposite the CDF. The president said that at Hero Stadium. And after that, all hell broke loose. That's when now we heard from his Secretary General also saying he's a Lucifer, he's a what. So yes, sir, Mr. Ichilema himself has cast aspersions on the learned Catholic Church.
Let's move on to the governance space. You in the opposition,
and I would want you to go and research that. I would want you to go and relook on that part.
Well noted. You in the opposition, as far as the governance space is concerned, you've been alleging continued shrinking of democratic space. Now, this is way from the deadline and timelines of election in sight. And if you have complained about democratic shrinking space, now that we are close to an election, can you still maintain that complaint that there's still shrinking of democratic space? And would you think that perhaps that now you need to begin to campaign that would be allowed, and perhaps you are going to see an improvement of the democratic space that you've been complaining about?
On the 18th of November, we should have had a rally in Chipata. We were stopped. The officer in charge in Chipata said that the time for campaigns has not started. And we said we wanted to notify our people, we wanted to educate our people on the need to register as voters, because that time the Electoral Commission of Zambia exercise of voter registration was still ongoing, and we wanted to go to the people and tell them on the importance of voter registration. Alas, the officer in charge stopped us. We are a party that has applied to this government 28 times to have meetings with the people. We have only been given 4 times, and we are not even supposed to be given, because the provisions of the Public Order Act are very clear. It is to notify the police.
Kasonde Mwenda was arrested the other day.
For what reason? Now, Pastor, thank you very much for even bringing that example, because Kasonda Mwenda had notified the police in line with the provisions of the Public Order Act. There was no reason to go and even humiliate him like that. I had a meeting with diplomats accredited to Zambia. We took time as citizens first. We complained on the issue of Kasonde Mwenda, and we told the diplomats how Mr. Ichilema is behaving and how he does not respect the rule of law, apart from people who are supporting him. Even if they themselves break the rules, he will not care. So yes, 28 times were only allowed in Miku 4. And the 2 times was when we had a rally with President Alongo. May he so rest in peace. But I mean, it can't even rest in peace. I mean, he's still in the mortuary, so it can't rest in peace. President Lungu in Kitwe, and another one in Sanfia. The other one was in Linda, my compound, where I come from. The last one was the one when we won the Mofiri by-election, where we went to thank the voters. And that has been all. For the last 4 years, what type of leadership is that? What type of leadership is that?
Talking about Mufili, I mean, let me pick 2 things from what you have submitted. Talking about Mufili, we heard that after you won and you went to celebrate.
Yes.
Maybe there was not a full 100% approval of you having that celebration or Thanksgiving rally in Mufili. Can you confirm that there was some, ramifications perhaps to either the officer in charge locally there or to some officials? We heard such kind of a rumor. That's number 1 from what you submitted. Number 2, talking about the late President Edgar Lungu. I think this is 7 months or 6 months. I can't remember.
President Lungu died in June, right?
He died in June.
The 6th.
Yeah.
So he has done 6 months.
6 months.
Going in 7 months now.
Is he a forgotten corpse, a forgotten president? I'd like you to speak to those 2 things, because you've made them in successful submissions in one thought. I thought we should break them to give you time to unpack each one of those.
For the Mufili by-election, we did apply. In fact, the local leadership did apply on the 28th of, no, it was the 18th of October. That's the day of prayer and Thanksgiving. And so we said we'll take advantage. Exactly a month after our council had won, we said we are going to go and pray with the people of Mufili. Because we are law-abiding, we wrote to the police, we notified them that we'll be there. And thanks be to God, the police stamped and said no objection. That was sufficient for us. And they said, please maintain law and order. It was a public holiday. It was a day of worship like any other day. And even for the police to even have given us to say no objection, we should not even have done that, actually. Next time, I'll not even do it. Because if it's a public holiday, it's a time of prayers, we will not do that. We just go and pray with everybody. But we did that anyway. Midway church service, we see the police officers in route gear come to Mufidi. And Mufidi, by the way, for starters, it is about 35 kilometers from Luwingu Boma on a gravel road. You take about an hour to move from Luwingu into Mufiri. And the police had to drive for 1 hour to come and find me in the woods. And they said, we have fresh instructions. We cannot proceed with this gathering. So the Catholic priest was already preaching there. So I told them, what are you going to stop? Because we are praying. Are you going to space us because we are praying? And we have got this. So one of the officers who was sent came and looked at the document which we had. So you have been given this. Said, yes, we got permission. We got clearance from your office to even be here, even when we should not have gotten it. He said, sir, I am sorry. So I said, what are you sorry for? He said, because we were under the impression that you weren't, because the instructions we got from Lusaka were that go and disperse that gathering. No, sir, I think we are going back. There are still decent people in this country. He went back, but unfortunately we were told he was transferred from that area for failing to stop us from praying. All they wanted was to stop Harry Kalaba and his team from praying, worshipping with the people of Mofiri, because they thought it was not appropriate. He was going to get more mileage, he was going to get more popular. That is the problem with our colleagues in the UPN, and that is why they do not want to play with the Public Order Act. But we are going to help them. CF in government, I want you to keep this recording. CF in government, one of the issues we'll deal with is the Public Order Act. I have fought the Public Order Act when I was minister and when I came out as minister. I have been very consistent. We don't want laws that only advantage those in power. We don't want to make laws that are going to end up putting yourself into problems. We have seen in this country. We talked about the cyber law, which our colleagues in the PF brought. I remember one minister warning us in the opposition, be careful now, we have brought cyber law. Not knowing that they only had 5 months, like their friends UPND have, who have brought this thing into motion, and it's not going to help them at all. It is not going to help them at all. President Edgar Lungu, yes, has been mistreated even in his death. He has been mistreated heavily. And I feel for the family. I honestly feel for the family that they have to endure pain of such nature. Seeing a loved one, as weak as President Lungu is now. Pantu, I mean, where I come from, they say, Uwawa, toamu panta. Olo wawa, uafwa, ninsha chimba. When someone has died, they have said, I have given up. But still, our president at every meeting he's having is always talking about who allowed that jet. You ministers, for me, you will not have that privilege of being allowed. Even in his death, he's being mocked. Mr. Lungu has been mistreated beyond words. And I want to say this kind of thing towards leaders is not right. Pastor, again, you can record this. When I become president, because I'm becoming president, when I become president next year, the citizens first will not allow Mr. Ichilema to be humiliated. The citizens first will continue dealing with policy and ensuring that the country which has been destroyed, this country which has been brought to its knees by the UPND, is resuscitated and put back on the rail of economic emancipation.
Let me put you on the spot. You have said the family of Mr. Lungu has been humiliated and perhaps overstretched. And one of the outcome of the Chawama by-election is as a result that his daughter could not leave she could not leave her unburied father alone, and so that she can attend to business in parliament. And so this triggered the by-election. If you feel so strongly about how the family has been humiliated, and why wouldn't you show remorse and protest participating in a by-election that has been caused by the people you're saying have tormented, the Lungu's family. But your party is participating in the Chawama by-election. What informed your decision?
Look, the party Citizens First is participating in the Chawama by-election, which has been caused unfairly. As you've rightly put it, Pastor, the seat has been declared vacant, even when, in my view, it should never have been declared vacant. Now, if we leave it because they have mistreated Tasila, the CF is in there to fight for the rights of the people. The Citizens First has gone into Chawama to make sure that the voice of the marginalized is amplified. By us keeping quiet and staying away is colluding with evil. And we can't do that. We have to stand up for the people of Chawama to say, yes, you have been betrayed. Yes, Tasila has been mistreated. The provisions of the law have been invoked, and they have said that the by-election goes ahead. We are here to defend what is right. Because just staying away and allowing the UPND to grab that seat without the Citizens First challenging them, I think would be a misstatement on our part.
What are your chances? How are you rating yourself, considering there are together 9 candidates participating? One would have hoped all of you in opposition perhaps could have come together with maybe 1 or 2 independents. You're looking at 9 candidates. The CF, how do you rate your chances in Chawama?
Look, first of all, it doesn't matter. When you people were moving away from one-party democracy to multi-party democracy, you should have understood the consequences of multiplicity. There must be unity in diversity. And for us as Citizens First, we have gone in there and our chances are very high. Very high. Because we are selling a candidate that is not alien. We are selling retired Captain Mulenga, Davison, who was a councillor himself in Chawama. And he went on to become a deputy mayor of Lusaka. From there, that man was elevated to become district commissioner of Lusaka. And in all this time, he was coming from Chawama, because even up to now, Captain Davison Mulenga stays in Chawama. He was promoted and elevated to become permanent secretary from Chinga up to 2021. Captain Davison Mulenga, when he left his permanent secretary job in Muchinga, he went and relocated in Chawama. Before I came here, I was with him at his place to be sure that he's in Chawama, his family is in Chawama. So yes, we have fielded the best candidate. We have done the best in honor of the people of Chawama. We have given them what we consider the best. And honestly speaking, if we had anything less than Captain Mulenga, the CF would not have gone in. But because we know that real representation lies where Captain Mulenga is, and the people of Chawama, if you're watching me, go and vote for Captain Mulenga on the 15th of January. And his name is just on the first list there. The symbol is the tree. Go and vote for him so that we can have a voice in parliament. The UPND wants to steal that voice from you, the people of Chawama. Go and defend it by voting for Captain Davison Mulenga.
Let's talk about this widely held view. I hear it from you in the opposition. I hear it from citizens. I hear it from civil society organizations that Parliament, the judiciary, and other key institutions of governance seem to have come under state capture. In fact, some of them have even said President is controlling all these institutions from community house. Do you share in this sentiment that truly Parliament, judiciary, and other institutions of governance are under state capture? And what would be the justification? Because most people who say those things, they don't give justification.
Why did
I would like you to speak to this, whether you share in this thought and whether you have any bankable evidence you can
Bankable evidence.
yeah, you can point to and justify such claims?
Pastor, President Ichilema's behavior towards the judiciary as well as the National Assembly, which is the legislature, has been overreaching. President Ichilema has not understood simple social studies, that there are three arms of government. There's the legislature, there's the judiciary, and there is the executive. That is why these three branches of government even have different flags on their vehicles. The flag that the speaker flies is different from the flag that the president flies, just like the flag which is being flown by the Chief Justice is also different. It's because these are totally separate entities which are supposed to be watchdogs for each other. The executive will make laws, the executive will propose laws, take them to parliament will make the laws. The implementation of those laws will be done by the executive, and to see whether the laws have been broken or not is not the preserve of, it is the courts that are going to interpret the judiciary. So, but our president has worked very hard, Mr. Chilema has worked very hard. Kutwala ichivereshi kuli ba judiciary, ichivereshi ku parliament, things like that.
What do you mean? I think people would be interested in evidence-based, politics and argument. When you say ukutwala ichivereshi, what do you mean, Mr. President?
At first I said, his attitude has been overreaching to those institutions. Clearly you can see that Mr. Ichilema has fired certain judges in this country who should not have been fired. Mr. Ichilema has taken certain decisions on the judiciary, sir, which should not have been taken. When the Concourt was sitting, the special session of Concourt was sitting, you remember, to decide the fate of Mr. Lungu, whether he was eligible or not to run again in 2026. Do you remember what happened before the sitting happened? Do you know the firings which happened before that? And the president took it upon himself to push that agenda. That is overreaching.
But they were found guilty by
right.
the Judicial Complaints Commission.
Pastor, that was not right. And the president has gone ahead. See the way he has gone ahead using the Speaker of the National Assembly to run Parliament. That's why the Speaker could not hold it. Kasukwa kapusumuka, but Speaker bambo kushana mu Parliament. Because Bill 7 yapita. He elected by executive. You hold him legislation. You are in the legislative wing of government. Why should it make you dance? Something which was brought by another body. So it tells you.
Maybe it was a long session. Maybe she was dancing that finally we are going Sindai.
No, they were not going Sinedie. They were not going Sinedie. They just finished passing that bill, and the following day they were still converging. So it is things like that, Pastor. I know, Pastor, for you, because you read the Bible probably too much more than I do. You look at these things maybe differently from the way I look at them, and most Zambians are looking at them. Because I want to believe that Mr. President Ichilema has misunderstood his role. And clearly you can see how he has handled the whole process of Parliament. Even when the Concourt said no, he still bulldozed this way. Parliament, in fact, the Speaker is the one who said when the bill comes, we'll take it up. And whether so it's all these things, but we'll correct these things. We'll correct these things in the next very few months.
There are people who have called, Dr. Sebastian Coplande has called for the resignation of the Speaker of the National Assembly out of the same issue, citing that she broke a long-held tradition of decorum by most people are insinuating that she took a partisan stance by celebrating the passage of Bill 7. Do you share in that sentiment that perhaps she should resign?
Yes, I do. Speaker Nelly Moti has got no business to do with Parliament. Speaker Nelly Moti has to honestly reconsider her position, because that position of Speaker, that's why they wear a wig. It is signifying justice. That wig she puts on going in the House, because she recognizes, or the law recognizes, Parliament recognizes the fact that she's dealing with members of divergent political parties. And that when she's wearing that wig, signifying justice, she's going to hear both the ruling as well as the opposition fairly. And so for her to dance wearing that wig, which is supposed to signify justice and wisdom, I think for me is totally beneath the decorum of Parliament. And I can humbly ask my my good speaker, Madam Nelly Moti, to say, please rethink your position. I think you went ahead. The one who should have danced that dance, who should have done to chow what the speaker was doing, was Cornelius Mwetu.
Why?
Because Cornelius Mwetu is supposed to be a bootlicker of the president. It was supposed to be Kasune. Those are the ones who should have been dancing, not the speaker. That was wrong. And definitely when we get into government, coming into August, Madam Nelly Moti, you are going together with Hakainde Hichilema. Both you, Madam Nelly Moti, and HH are fired in August.
Let's talk about the fight against corruption. You earlier said some of your outspoken opposition colleagues have been locked up. The government will say it's because they transgressed against the law. Some of it could be cyber, some of it could be corruption related. But there is also another school of thought that says, the FIC report has been bringing out crazy, outrageous numbers of money leaving the country untraced, into foreign jurisdictions, and yet no one seems to be followed up, like, the case of Mr. Bonanza, who the president has spoken about several times. How do you look at these two schools of thought, where the government says opposition figures have been locked up because they were found wanting, they transgressed against the law,
and on the other hand, he says don't tell us who you are investigating from government until you conclude the investigations. You come and ask me. And on the other hand, he takes the anti-corruption at his office. So he's telling the ACC who to pursue and who not to pursue. I mean, that's being hypocritical. That's being hypocritical. Don't tell me anything to do with corruption concerning the president and the UPND. They have done literally nothing on the fight against corruption. Like we have said in the CF, the only time the president has fought corruption is when he's reading a statement written for him on corruption. And then he takes advantage to say, we have nailed Minister Malanji. And even him talking about a matter like that, even the way he was speaking. Now, you were asking for a classical example of what it means to interfere. This is a president who, without shame, without shame, he stands before you and I and says, I called Mnangagwa. Oh, Mnangagwa, you were Pamumbo hapa. Then I talked to, he was mentioning all the leaders he was talking to. Now, is it the job of the president to do the investigation? The answer is a no. Is it the job of the president to celebrate a conviction? The answer is a no, because it is supposed to be independent. Just that provision tells you that to talk about separation of powers now is difficult under his watch, because he has not read simple social studies. Maybe we should take him to Momuni Primary School or another school, Lusaka Boys and these schools.
I think you're just now politicking, Mr. President.
No, I'm not politicking really, because you see the way he's acting, he takes Zambians for granted. When he speaks this afternoon, that tell us the lies we've been doing, it's like he's talking to people that have removed their brains and have put them elsewhere, and just his software is what we're going to get. Because everybody knows the president has been lying at every time.
Let's talk about the health sector. Currently you have a number of doctors who are working as volunteers in a number of hospitals, and they were hoping perhaps at the appropriate time they could be considered, for employment. The Resident Doctors Association of Zambia have threatened to
go on strike.
Yeah, to down tools, I think tomorrow or the other day. And when this came to the attention of the Minister of Health, Honorable Muchima, he said, look, you are you are volunteers, and you cannot use that as a weapon to whip government to take a decision that is perhaps outside of policy. I need you. You are vying to become president, and you will probably be inheriting this same health sector that is broken down, as it were. The service that is being provided by volunteer doctors is about to be withdrawn. What do you think is going to be the impact when government has said you can go if you want?
First of all, I want to say that I am disappointed with the response that the Honorable Minister has given concerning those volunteer doctors who want to down tools. To say you can go because you are volunteers and you can't hold us to ransom is not the way to negotiate with people that have offered their expertise, especially in a country where the patient-doctor ratio is extremely alarming. I think what should have happened is for the minister to use diplomacy. Diplomacy sorts out a lot of things. Call the doctors through their representatives and give an assurance that government was going to work, I think, not just talking the talk, but really ensuring that those doctors are even absorbed in the system. The citizens first coming into government will ensure that we stop this business of having qualified doctors apply for jobs. We want our people to ensure that they receive medical treatment. We are recording so many mortalities in this country as a result of not having doctors in these rural health centers, in rural clinics. So we want to have as many doctors as possible. And we in the CF have given ourselves that responsibility to ensure that doctors, teachers, nurses, these are professions that should not require them to wait when they finish their training. We in the Citizens First have said we are going to fast track this process of a teacher you have qualified, you still have to apply to that board, they give you a certificate, that's when now you can start. We want to remove the bureaucracy, the red tape that has for so long stood in the way of teachers, has for so long stood in the way of doctors. We want our doctors, our nurses, our teachers to be employed. They must be given the chance to go and serve in the rural areas of Zambia before they even come into here. So we give them alternatives. And we are going to raise the money through the mines, where we have a lot of monies that we are losing there. We are watching the mines very closely. We'll ensure that all those monies that are being mismanaged are invested in the health sector, are invested in the education sector. Because we want our teachers, we want our nurses, we want our civil servants to be looked after with dignity. This government has got no respect for civil servants. This government doesn't mind whatever civil servants say. But I want to tell the civil servants out there, I am one of you. As you know, Pastor, I didn't just start politics myself. I am a civil servant rising through the ranks. And if there is anybody who understands the frustrations of a civil servant, I am seated right here. So I can tell you, my colleagues in the teaching sector, in the nursing, as well as the doctors there, don't worry. We are coming as Citizens First, and we will deal with this mess, which has been created by people who don't care about anybody, but only themselves.
Talking about, public workers and civil servants, I know we are going towards, the end of our discussion, but given the fact that you're talking already about public, service, there's a unique situation that I would like you to perhaps talk to. You have unionized lecturers and workers at the University of Zambia under Unzararu who have, expressed intention to protest to State House, march under protest. They will be marching to protest to State House. And it's a paradox in my view, but I would like to hear your perception and your sentiment around it. It's a paradox because these are coming from the University of Zambia, and this is the same University of Zambia where you've had students marching to State House to go and show solidarity to the head of state for reinstating of meal allowances and other things. And I'm thinking, if the students are happy, why are the unionized workers under Unzararu, not happy that they have to protest and they're planning to march to State House. It presents a paradox that I would like to hear your thoughts on this and how you can resolve,
But Pastor, why can't you call it hypocrisy?
the disquiet.
Why can't you call it hypocrisy?
On the part of who?
On the part of the leadership of our government?
How is that?
You are just saying they were allowed to protest, going to State House to go and celebrate new allowances as students. When Unzarao wants to meet the president, they want to go there. They're having a challenge. Why double standards?
I'm not sure they're having a challenge. They have said they're going to protest over labor issues and things that
delayed wages, bad conditions of service.
That's right. And my asking you is, if you are the potentially incoming head of state, how is it that in one institution students will be celebrating, but their lecturers and tutors are discontented?
That's what I'm saying. Maybe I should sum it up like this. The students are taken coerced. They go there, that we have done this for you, and the government wants to show that it has got support. That's the hypocrisy I was talking about. And yet the people who are teaching those same students are saying the way we are living, tape kalwa, our conditions are pathetic. We can't continue living in an university where our conditions of service are just not right. And the government has not even said, Unzalaro, can you come to State House so that we can have a chat? They're not interested in that. They are more interested in the politics rather than the substance. That's where hypocrisy comes in. They don't want to deal with real issues. And our people tend to look at these things sometimes from the surface. The UPND has got no business in substantive matters. It is all politics at every turn. If Dr. Kaunda, whose example I like giving every time, because that man for me inspires me in his leadership. Mr. Sata inspired me in his leadership as well. If Dr. Kaunda really was behaving the way Mr. Ichilema is behaving, I don't think the University of Zambia would even have been built. I'm not even sure would have made this progress we have made as a country. Because Mr. Ichilema will go down the history of this country as the most divisive leader Zambia has ever produced.
Isn't he the most popular president, really?
Mr. Ichilema, I don't know if he's very popular. I think he's popular. I think, to give him to his credit, he's popular for messing up the lives of Zambians. Zambians will remember him. As I say, he'll go down the history of this country. Zambians will remember him as a president that was insensitive, as a president who alimunshebwa, as a president that never listened to the church, as a president that never listened to colleagues, as a president that never thought of others as important as he was. He is the most important. His voice is the last to be heard. He will be remembered as a president who kept a former president who ruled the country for 7 years. Him will not even rule for 7 years. Him is just 5 years and is out. His friend at least tried 7 years. He tried 7 years, and up to now he has kept him in the mortuary. Who will remember him like that? And history has got a way of remembering people like him.
We're about to come to a wrap up of our discussion, but two things that I'd like to speak to. First of all, you already glossed over the power issue. Power remains one of the most challenging drivers, economic drivers of our nation because of load shedding. However, we have seen some level of improvement, and I would like for you to, if you reflect on the words of the Vice President on the floor of the House, that the reason power has improved is because the Kafue River is full to the brim, and so given that it's only Kafue that is full and we have this improvement, what more when the Kariba Bank, so does this give you hope that finally we are coming to the end of load shedding given the improvement that we have seen in the last 1 month of rainfall?
First of all, you've made me laugh because you have quoted Her Honor the Vice President. This is the Vice President who has been quoted again in the past as saying we will increase in order to reduce. And this is the same Vice President who was very happy when the Namibians came to congratulate her for the power that Zambia was exporting to Namibia when we were in darkness. And this is the same vice president who was telling you that the water levels have improved at the Kariba. I mean, where are the rains? It only began raining just some 3 weeks ago. And it has not even been as heavy as it has been in Chinsari or as it has been in Mukushi. So you can clearly tell that the problem was not even about the water levels. And this has been the argument we have been giving as Citizens First, that when we come into government, the load shedding will be stopped as soon as we form government, because we know where to press. Even them, if they want today,
now,
they can give you...
People have heard that argument before. The president said that.
You know, one of the things I don't like, Pastor, and don't spoil my evening, is to be compared to the president. Because the president's word is not bankable. My word is bankable. I am coming from an experience where I have lived what I've said. I just don't talk the talk. I walk the talk. And so people who like saying the president said this, you politicians are the same, this is what he also said, we are not the same. He was telling lies in order to get to the presidency. He is still telling lies in order to maintain the presidency. And he has continued to talk lies to every one of you people so that he can be re-elected in August next year. But we are telling you the truth, that when we come into government, we will do what we can do. I am not here telling you that when I become president at 10 hours, the dollar will be like this, and by 14 hours, mule kutika. I'm not saying that. All I am saying is, when I form government with my colleagues, we will ensure that we stop what the UPND knows they should not be doing, which they are doing. They have kept us in the darkness for a very long time. For 4 years, we have been in darkness, and we are going to stop that. How will we stop it? We will stop it firstly by ensuring that the deals they are doing are curtailed. Secondly, we are going to stop it by ensuring that hydropower stations are enhanced. And also, we begin working on the nuclear power plant in order to increase the megawatts that will be produced.
What deals are they doing?
They know themselves. I'm not here to begin talking about people's deals. All I can say is that we are in this situation because the UPND has chosen, they have chosen to allow us to be in this situation deliberately.
Lastly, Mr. President, opposition unity remains one of the major hindrances to perhaps a potential upset, upset to the incumbent. Because if you remain divided, I do not think you individually marshal enough support from the voters to upset President Hakainde Hichilema. What's your strategy, and are we going to see the opposition coming together as we march towards August 2026?
Look, Pastor, first of all, I'll tell you that ukuangata wapatikisha, and that parties have got policies. That's why even the other day I was watching on your TV here, I was watching a new party which was being formed. That's democracy. Secondly, we in the Citizens First have been working with other opposition political parties. As you know, Pastor, we spent 1 year, 3 months in UKA. UKA can even be described as a branch out of some of these political parties like the CF, because we were there at inception, working with OSIDA to come up with UKA. And so we went in there because we were trying to search for a place of unity. And we came out of that because we realized that maybe our growth trajectory was not right. And we didn't want to begin politics or fighting one another within there. We are now on our own as Citizens First, but we are still collaborating with other political players on the market. And for us as Citizens First, we are going to participate in the elections that will come in August. We have continued, for instance, collaborating with our colleagues. You've seen me with Leonard Kanso Makebi. You've seen me with President Lubinda of the PF. You have seen me with Mr. Kambwili. I've been visiting Bowman Lusambo. I've visited Nixon, Chitotela, the guys that have been incarcerated. I've taken time to visit all these colleagues because for me, difference in ideology is not enmity. And I'm hoping that when my colleagues will find it right, they are free to join the Citizens First. They are free to work with us at any time that they so feel.
Citizens First President, Mr. Harry Kalaba, my guest on State of the Nation, and we've been looking at State of the Nation ahead of 2026. Mr. President, all the best for next year, and thank you for coming to State of the Nation.
Thank you so much, Pastor, and I'm grateful you gave me an opportunity. I also wish you a Merry Christmas and a very fruitful 2026. And we look forward. Please carry the inauguration of 2026 when we form government live.